everybody, to Mary Giuliani Live. I am so glad you guys are here tonight. I have got such a fantastic show. I've got a teacher that I connected with 20 years ago, Susan McNeil Velasquez, with me in the studio. And she's all about tapping into the power of your intuition. So I'm really excited to have her. So she'll be on in just a minute. But before that, I always like to mention that the whole purpose of this show is really to inspire you to transform your life. For me, 30 years ago, when I really threw myself into putting myself in environments where there were people that were really committed to growing and doing seminars and personal growth groups, that's when my life really took off. So I really wanted this show to be a place for you to come every single week to get inspired, to know that you really can live your dream if you've got the right consistent support. So for those of you that are new, make sure you get on my email list so that you'll know who the guests are that are coming up. So if you go right up to the marygiuliani.net, the actual connect with us on the newsletter, you can actually get on the email list. You'll get a weekly email sharing the different people that are going to be on the show. And also, I share the audio and the video links for the previous shows and some blog posts and stuff like that. So make sure you get on the email list. Also, if you're an iPhones person, you can actually get the show downloaded automatically onto your iPhone by subscribing to my iTunes channel. So just go to iTunes and look up Mary Giuliani Live, and that's just subscribe, and you're right there in iTunes. And if you can do me a favor and rate the show, it really helps other people want to watch it too. So, you know, God, what do I say about Susan? My God, you know, 23 years ago, I think it was, I got connected to her, and she has been teaching the Unleash the Power of Your Intuition workshops in Laguna Beach, and so I started attending those, and it really helped me open up to my intuition and trusting my heart, and has been really influential, Susan's work on me doing, you know, everything I've been doing in personal growth for the past 20 plus years. And so Susan has written a book, Beyond Intellect, Journey into the Wisdom of Your Intuitive Mind. And so I wanted to have her on the show to talk about it. And I started going through it and thinking, oh my God, you know, I really want to talk about all these nuggets of wisdom, and realizing that there's no way I could do it in just one show. And so we talked about, why don't we just do a series of shows? And so in a sense, it's sort of like a book club series where we're going to be going through her book and really talking about the different aspects of how to really tap into your intuition and create a really richer, deeper experience of life, because that's certainly what has happened for me as a result of working with her. So tonight is part one of this series, and then we'll be announcing the second and subsequent parts as they are set. So again, make sure you get up on my email list, go up to my website, marygiuliani.net, and sign up for the newsletter tab, and you'll be sure to know when the next episode of Susan and I will be coming up. So let's talk about who Susan is and you know, what she's been up to for the past 20 or actually 40 years. She's a master facilitator. She's been writing personal development seminars for, gosh, 30 plus years. And she's actually one of the founders and first woman facilitators in the Human Potential Movement. She's been teaching an advanced experiential training, which is the one I was in, Unleash the Power of Your Intuition, in Laguna Beach for 23 years. And she writes in a bi-monthly column, Wisdom Workout, for the Laguna Beach Independent News. And she's, you know, also, like I said, an author of the best book I've ever really read on tapping into the power of your intuition. So actually, here's actually an image of it, just so you can take a look at it. So, you know, you actually can get this book on Amazon.com. And so without further ado, let's bring on Susan McNeil Velasquez. Susan, hi.
Hi.
So great to have you.
You know what? I'm just thrilled to be here, and I'm feeling like a little kid. So,
okay.
So, you know, I'm standing there, and you're going 42 years, 20 years, and I'm turning into an Apple doll. Whoa!
Oh my
You're
God!
talking.
I love it.
But what's so exciting to me is that this is a new adventure for me.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, because normally I'm the questioner.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
So here we go. I'm delighted to be here.
Oh, well, thank you. You've been such an influential teacher for me. I mean, just like I said, it was like in my 30s, and it was like just learning to just trust and really get into trusting my heart and my energy. And as I was saying to you on the phone recently, your voice is still like alive in my head when I think about different things, and I'll share about those things too. So, I'm just curious, like when, as far as just getting into personal growth and that sort of thing, what really drew you to even pursuing personal growth?
Well, I'd like to say that what happened is that they scanned the whole country
Yes.
to find the most qualified person. But the reality of it was, is I was 23,
Uh-huh.
and I basically was involved with a company. Most people don't know this, but a lot of the like EST and LifeSpring, some of
Yes.
the old trainings
Yes.
came out of a cosmetic company.
Oh, they did.
And my husband and I were involved in this cosmetic company, and
Uh-huh.
I happened to have just such affinity for the chairman of the board of this company.
Yes.
And I was pretty much just a corporate wife,
Uh-huh.
but again with a leaning towards personal development.
Uh-huh.
I had a library that would choke a horse even then. Anything that said anything about finding out about yourself, I
Yes.
was on it. But what actually happened is that there was a company called Leadership Dynamics,
Okay.
and I volunteered
Ah.
to sit in with some of these trainings. Now, it was a very confrontational environment.
Ah.
4 days
Uh-huh.
down in Palo Alto.
Ah, okay.
And so I did that for a couple of years,
Uh-huh.
where I would go in and I would just be a volunteer.
Uh-huh.
Well, there was a big blow up in the company,
Oh, okay.
and they got rid of the top people.
Uh-huh.
There were 2 seminars. One was for men, one was for women.
Right.
And basically, it was $1,000 for 4 days.
Okay.
I had a very good reputation just from a personal power standpoint.
Right.
And they needed somebody to take over the women's LDI. So here I was, so 24 at that time.
Wow.
And no training particularly, other than that I knew how the training worked, and
Uh-huh.
it was pretty much sensitivity training back then. So,
Right.
So the human potential industry started with the notion
Mm-hmm.
of how do good people
Mm-hmm.
become excellent.
Yeah.
So before that, you had to go to therapy, psychologist, psychiatrist, whatever. And this was really designed for the general public.
Right.
And the idea was that how can you be all that you can be?
Right.
And so I took the job, and scared out of my head,
Yeah.
I had a staff of the wives of multimillionaires.
Wow.
I think that was one of the reasons, actually, why they brought me on, because I
Uh-huh.
was nobody.
Yeah.
And so basically that's how I started. And then when LifeSpring started,
Right.
no, I worked for a company called Mind Dynamics after that. And,
Okay.
And then when LifeSpring started, actually I had more experience facilitating experiential seminars, which is
Right.
what they were called, than anybody.
Wow.
And so it was mostly men that were starting both, Werner Erhard started EST.
Right.
John Hanley and another group of people started LifeSpring, and I was the first woman trainer.
Oh my God.
And, just great experience.
Right. Oh, of course. Oh
So
my God.
I fell in it.
Yes.
I fell in it. I loved it, and I've been singing the same song ever since.
Oh my God. Well, thank goodness, because you've helped me transform my life and so many other people. By the way, I forgot to mention to everybody out there in Livestream land that the beauty of Livestream is that you can ask questions in real time in our chat room. And so if you just look to the right of the live stream screen, or if you're on a phone, right below the live stream, just log into the chat and ask questions. We've got several people in the chat right now. Carolyn's in there, and we've got Ern. And so make sure you definitely submit your questions throughout the show. We'd be
Then
glad
you
to
can make me really uncomfortable. As I said, I was never the person that's asked the questions. So make me squirm. Come up with a good question.
Yeah. Well, okay, so you're in, LifeSpring, you're doing the deal, and what, prompted you to, then sort of specialize in intuition? How did that come about?
you know, there were really good lecturers
Yeah.
in LifeSpring. Guys that it was again more traditional. Guys that were really good in front of a room. I'm really better one-on-one. Now we were doing trainees that were like 200 people,
Right.
but I was the one that basically got the emotional connection with people.
Yep.
So that became my expertise. The other thing is that, don't tell them this, but some of them did lectures that did not make any sense to me, and I can't present material that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
And so they'd say, "Well, go ahead and you do this," and I'd say,
Yeah.
"Where did you get that?"
Yeah.
And they'd say, "Just stay with it and go deeper, and you'll figure
Yeah.
it out." And I actually told them, "No, I'm the intuitive one."
Yes.
So I actually kind of gave myself
Ah,
that
you
name.
claimed it. Yeah.
I did. But the truth is, I have over 45,000 hours
Oh my God.
of facilitating experience.
Wow.
All that means is that I carry so many people in my heart.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, I have been so gifted, because when you're working with people that they're there to grow, they're there to expand, and their intention is to be as honest as possible.
Right.
That my heart gets touched with their story,
Yeah.
and my heart expands.
Yeah.
So I actually have not had that many external life experiences, given my age today. I have 4 children.
Yeah.
I have 11 grandchildren
Oh my God.
and 3 great grandchildren.
Wow.
And I really started out as a mom.
Yeah.
And I also have 10 brothers and sisters. So I started out as a mom at about 8.
Yeah.
And
Oh, okay.
okay, so that was my love.
Yes.
But my avocation
Yeah.
was training. And I
Yeah.
think probably loving and probably mothering
Yeah.
the emotional body.
Right. Well, you definitely bring in that super nurturing energy, and that's what one of the reasons I was so drawn to your Unleash the Power of Your Intuition group. It was like there was a level of compassion and empathy, and I felt truly seen when I was in your class.
That's thrilling.
Yeah.
I mean, that's thrilling to know that.
Yeah. Oh, and the other thing was, and still, is I feel so affirmed in your presence. Like you really are able to identify my strong suit or just things that maybe I haven't seen in myself. And it just, I always walked away from my interaction with you feeling really better about myself.
I love that. And I do think that actually when I started on my journey, the truth of the matter is I liked other people
Yeah.
better than I liked myself.
Yeah.
And so I really felt like it made sense to me that if I can love other people and I think that I'm worth nothing, that there's something wrong with my reality. So the idea of validating other people was just always easy for me. I could see other people.
Yeah.
I'm going to spiral back and
Yeah,
say, how
sure.
did I get on the intuition?
Yeah.
How I do it today? What
Yeah.
I mean by intuition?
Yeah.
It's exactly that. It's to say that I could see other people, but I couldn't see myself correctly.
Okay.
And so when I'm doing Unleash the Power of Your Intuition,
Right.
what I really mean is to get so grounded in yourself and knowing
Yes.
yourself
Yes.
so that you naturally see other people. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Because of my background of doing very confrontational trainings, I know that I can be confrontational.
Ah.
What I also know is that we basically don't know how to be gentle with ourselves. And so it actually is more confrontational to have somebody be gentle with you
Yes.
than to, I use the analogy of confronting somebody is like, you can appear to be like a butcher.
Yeah.
And my intent is to be a surgeon. And what that means is you don't cut if you can't suture.
Oh, that's so. Yeah.
And now we're back again to unleash the power of your intuition is really unleash the power of your own inner core.
Yes.
So that you can show up in the present.
Yes.
And you can own the wisdom that you've learned from all the hurts, heartaches,
right,
that you've had in your life, and the joys.
Yeah.
So that basically you show up authentic.
Right.
And there's nobody to compete with because you're on your own personal path.
Right.
And so basically that's the job, is how can I learn how to be present? And here's one of the gifts.
Yeah.
Is because you could even say, well, how do I know I'm being present?
Yeah.
The way you know that you're being present is because your future starts coming to you.
Oh.
The way you know that you're not being present is when you're running away from a past that you didn't like to a future that you're never going to get to.
So, okay, this is great. So when your future starts coming to you, so give me an example of what that looks like.
You and I sitting here.
Okay. So it's sort of effort. It's sort of like synchronistic.
Well, 7 weeks ago,
yeah,
you called me up.
Yeah.
And said, I'm doing this now. You caught me up. Now, one key is that we have a timeless relationship.
Yes.
Because we shared with each other the essence of who we are.
Right.
And so I'm still the essence of me, you're still the essence of you.
Right.
20 years happen to go by.
Mm-hmm.
You say to me, I'm doing this, and I do it on Wednesdays, and I go, God, and you said, well, I'd like to interview you. And I said, that's great, but, I do seminars on Wednesday nights.
Yeah.
And we went, okay, well, but I do them in 6-week increments, and then I have a week break. This is my week break. So we had to wait. We met for lunch.
Yes.
We talked. We decided to do what we're doing tonight.
Yes.
And while we were on our way to doing this, actually, you suggested, why don't we make a series out of this? So that's what I mean. So my future is looking like,
yes,
every month or so, a piece of my future is carved out to be with you.
Wow, that's so cool. That's so perfect. Thank you. So, so then when you're being present, when your future, how do you say it again?
Your future comes to you.
Your future comes to you. I mean, it really is the essence of the law of attraction, if you think about it.
Yeah, it is. But you have to be present in order to be,
right.
Yeah. I mean, the law of attraction is a wonderful thing. When we do it from our intellect,
right,
a lot of times it's really kind of posing,
Right. Yes.
It's wishing, and
yes.
And so then you have to look at, well, wishing is fine, actually.
Uh-huh.
But what if it's really that I'm so scared I'm not going to get what I want?
Yes.
That I'm going to repeat over and over again.
Right.
I am attracting, I am attracting, I am attracting.
Right.
And all that happens is the emotional vibration is you're scared and you don't think you're going to get what you want.
Right.
And so guess what you get?
You get what
you never get enough of what you really don't want.
Right. Oh my God, that's so true.
Yeah.
So one of the nuggets in your first chapter on going beyond intellect was letting go of the notion of having a perfect life. And
it's huge.
So
huge.
Let's talk about that a little bit. How did that show up for you, and how does it show up for your students?
It's extremely important because perfect always means you're doing better.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get here, then you're going to be
right.
Yeah,
right. It's an unattainable fantasy.
It is. I mean, it is because what I've noticed through again all the years that I've been working is that bottom line, most of us have this bottom line that you really never get to, and here's what it says, way deep down in there.
Right.
Me who is wrong.
Me who is wrong.
Me who is wrong.
Oh my God.
And it's not conscious, but it's so what happens is we scan, and that's where the inner critic comes in, wants to help.
Yes.
And gives you, that's those thousands of people that you hold in your head.
Yes.
I remember when I was doing Lifespring, and one of the things that my husband, ex-husband now, but husband, one of the things that he did really well for me was, he did a lot of things that were great, but one of the things was he was real accepting of himself, and I was real hard on myself.
Mm.
So the first couple of nights of the seminar, I'd come home and I'd say, I'm not doing this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things about intuition, too, is that you tend to be very familiar with the negative.
Yeah.
So I came home and say, I'm no, and he'd say, why? And I'd go, they hated me. I was terrible.
Okay.
I didn't do well. I didn't know what I was talking about, blah, 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 blah. And he'd say, well, how did you know that? And I said, there was this guy, and he was sitting on, like 25.
Yeah.
And he looked like this the whole time.
Yeah.
So he said, okay, so let me check in here with you. So one guy
Yeah.
had a grumpy face,
Yes.
and that's why you were terrible.
Yeah.
And I thought, that was a really gift, but that was what happened. I drove home going, I'm out of this. I can't do this stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's what happened to me. When I first got into coaching, too, it was so confrontational because I felt so responsible for my clients' success versus recognizing that I'm here to help them tap into their own wisdom, and they need to experience whatever results they get. But my inner critic had me by the neck.
Exactly.
And so, letting go of perfect, especially in our culture. Our culture promotes perfect. In fact, just being in the advertising industry for many years, the whole purpose of the advertising industry is to convince you that you suck so that you can buy their product.
Right. That's right.
So it's like...
And if we come back to this perfect thing, that's where the inner critic comes in.
Yeah.
This took me years, maybe a slow learner. But my intent for a long time was writing seminars that would make sure to get rid of that inner critic.
Yeah.
Then the idea is that you would be able to stand in the sun and you'd be magnificent. Magnificent. So it would be like making a prison break. But you're going to get rid of the whole prison.
Okay.
And then you are going to be out. You're just going to be everything you ever dreamed of.
Right.
You cannot get rid of the inner critic.
Right.
So, to really get that, you don't get rid of the inner critic. The inner critic's there to keep you exactly the way you are.
Yes.
So it keeps some stability going on. So because you cannot get rid of the inner critic,
right,
you have to befriend it.
Yes.
You have to take control away from it. And then what happens is your inner critic becomes part of the inquiry.
Oh.
So that's the thing that's how you let go of being perfect. When your critic is running your life, then your critic, you'll have 10 goals, and you diligently go after them. So that's first. And let's say you get 9 of them.
Right.
So you're coming down the home stretch, and your critics just, they're filing their nails. It's going, that was good, but you're fat. Yeah. And it's like, oh, yeah, I am.
Yeah, but you still don't have that relationship or, whatever. There's always something else.
So it's a little bit, so letting go of being perfect, number one, is you've got to value laughing at yourself because you've been with you.
Yes.
And one of the things that I love, because I do work with a lot of people that have done a lot of personal development work, they forgot that their critic was in all of those trainings with them.
Yes.
So here's the kind of things that personal growth critics say. It's like, God, Mary, how long are you going to be doing?
Yeah.
And you just did. I can hardly believe it. I think that I'm shocked.
Oh, I call that spiritual shame.
Right.
It's like you should have gotten it by now.
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
And it's like you get it when you get it, And
so here's the deal. Why do you just want to make friends with your critic, and you're not going to get rid of the critic,
right?
But you want to embrace your critic because on the way. So then what happens is you stop seeing life as good, bad, right, and wrong, or judging yourself. That's what the critic does. You were good there, bad there, right there, wrong there.
Right.
Instead, what you want is you want a life that works.
Yes.
Now, there are a lot of people that want a life that works, and if they don't have an inner critic, they have a name for those people, and it's called sociopath.
Well, okay, wait. I think that went over my head. So what do you mean?
Well, there are people that
Oh,
they know
that
what they want. They go after what they
so
want.
they don't have any sense of inner critic because they're a sociopath.
Yeah.
Oh, I got it. Okay,
Yeah.
I got it. Okay.
Yeah. So they don't have a good, bad, right, wrong kind
Right.
of frame.
Right. Right.
When we wallow in good, bad, right, wrong,
Right.
then we're really limited from. We just repeat what we've always done.
Right.
When you really decide that you want to have a life that works,
Right.
and you've decided to give up being perfect,
Right.
and you know all the things that you did that didn't work out the way you wanted them to,
Right.
and you know also that you're still intending to create a life that really works.
Right.
Now you're into the tough stuff,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
because new experiences. That's where now your life starts coming to you. What
Right.
does that mean? It doesn't mean like it comes in a big package and goes woohoo. This is everything you always wanted, and there's
Right.
nothing ever that's going to disturb you ever.
Yes.
No, instead, life comes and goes. Another challenge.
Right.
Another challenge. This is a challenge.
Yeah.
This is a challenge. Now,
Yeah.
me, you, we've intended that it's going to be fun,
Yes.
and it is, and it's getting more fun.
Yeah.
So-
But in the beginning, it's like anything that's new. It's like you have to kind of cut your teeth in it, and you have to experience just the unfamiliarity of it, and you have to fall down a little bit. I mean, I've been doing this show for I think 8 months now, and oh my God, I mean, it's finally just really becoming a lot more easy. But I know for me, I was scared out of my mind when I first did it, and there was a lot of technical things I didn't really know how to handle. So,
Tell me, I am impressed.
well, thank you. You know what? We've got a few questions.
Good.
Let's see.
I didn't really mean make them hard.
Let's see. By the way, for the people that are watching, you can actually ask Susan questions or me questions in the chat room. Let's see.
What do we have?
Ex-Life Springer and Other Portraits of Self-Inquiry. Susan is the best. Great book. Amazing insight. Nice to hear you. So just that's Lloyd Sothoff. Yeah.
I was going to tell you about him today because he's an incredible singer and writer. He's a wonderful writer, and I just bought his second album, and I told him that he's wrecked me. I'm leaning towards country and western now.
Oh my God.
No, he's wonderful.
Yeah, awesome.
Thank you, Lloyd.
Oh, and you know what? My buddy Carrie is also here. Hey, Carrie. Carrie's my BFF from the Hay House Cruise, and she's been on the show several times. So, yay, Carrie! I'm so glad you're here. This is my wonderful teacher, Susan McNeil Velasquez. I can't wait to. I'm actually going to be visiting Carrie soon, and I can't wait to share the book.
Oh
with her.
yeah, particularly now with Louise going.
Yes. Yes.
What a gift she is.
Oh my God, totally. So the other thing is I love in the book is attracting, embracing not knowing until the universe delivers your marching orders. This has been literally, I didn't really fully 100% embrace this till probably 4 years ago, and I'm 57.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So talk about this and yeah.
Well, how can I talk about, let's see, how can I say this? The unknown comes not only external, the unknown comes when you plumb the depths of your emotional body.
Yes.
And that my sense is at this point that when our emotional body is cleared, and all that means is that we welcome our orphaned feelings home.
Uh-huh. Yep, that's what I've been doing for the past 5 years.
And then what happens is that becomes your wisdom base.
Yes.
And that's where, a lot of times people say they're intuitive, meaning they're going to read you.
Yes.
Well, instead, it's like what welcoming your orphaned feelings home does is it creates compassion, and I think it's probably the only way to create compassion.
Oh, totally.
So what happens is that it creates a big affinity for your present and who's in your present. Mm-hmm. And so what ends up happening is that you're rich with your own wisdom.
Yes. Oh, it's so beautiful the way you just explain that.
But in the meantime, in other words, when it's coming back, it comes kind of dressed, like looking like it's been swimming in a cesspool.
Oh, in the beginning, you mean?
Well,
like,
it's
yeah.
just that what happens is, you know, you have pain and you want to stay away from it. But when old memories come back,
Yes.
so they can go in the category of unknown. I didn't know. Oh gosh, I didn't
that's
realize
interesting.
how
Yeah.
I felt about this. Well, when it comes home, the only reason why it's still hanging around is because you didn't get the wisdom from it.
Oh my God, that's so, I mean, this is exactly what has been the huge breakthrough for me in the past 5 years. What happened was I didn't realize that the reason I had been so hyper-focused on success and building a business and being an entrepreneur was because when I was a little girl, I had struggled with food and being overweight and feeling like a failure and feeling like weak because I couldn't seem to control my food, because that's what I was programmed to believe by my dad. And so my whole adult life, I was striving to be strong and successful because I thought it was a weak failure. And
Right.
that was embracing those orphan feelings and recognizing, feeling the reality of it, but also recognizing having a level of compassion for myself. Like, no, you were never a weak failure. You were doing the best you could under the circumstances of living in a very stressful, emotionally violent home. Any child would have looked for ways to soothe themselves. So it was so beautiful for me to heal that. And so now I don't have to like prove myself because I accept myself and recognize that was never even true.
See, and then I guess in a paradoxical way, it's, you know, we're striving to be somebody because we don't want to be nobody.
Right.
But the real truth of it is that to marry our masculine energy and our
Yes.
feminine energy, so everybody's
Yes.
got masculine, make it happen energy and
Right.
receptive energy.
Right.
You really have to walk. To me, it's that you have a somebody leg and a nobody leg, and a somebody leg and a nobody leg.
Right.
But our society is geared towards success.
Totally.
But what it means really is that you're just hopping on one foot, you know? And
Yeah.
and when you relax into saying, you know what, being nobody, you know, it's not. I tell you what, being nobody, it's not crowded.
Yes. Yes.
It's
Exactly.
not crowded.
Yeah.
You can support people who want to be somebody
Yes.
on their endeavors. You know, I became an expert on nobody.
Yeah.
On being nobody, meaning that the first job I had, they hired me because I was nobody.
Yes.
They had a lot of problems, and they needed somebody that would stand there solidly and be nobody. And none of the wives of the multi-level,
Yes.
you know, of the multimillionaires wanted anybody to know anything about them. I'm crawling on the floor with everybody because
Yeah.
I'm nobody.
Yeah. Wow.
So you can actually, I'm sitting here live proof. You can be so much nobody that you back into being somebody.
Well, and that's what's happened for me. I mean, yes, exactly. It's like, so once I was willing to admit, you know what, I've had all these shame and guilt issues and all of these feeling like, you know, I was weak and a failure. And out of expressing that and sharing that with people, it's like, oh my God, you too?
Yeah.
And there's like, then all of a sudden there's this connection. And that's all I really wanted anyway. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So we've got, let's see, Carrie has a question here or a comment. Let's see. I have recently landed deeper in being only in the present, and an incredible calmness has come to me, even though I know I'm not moving forward at the moment.
Forward at the moment. Mm-hmm.
Forward at the moment, but know it's there, and it feels okay to not think about anything, allow and live right now, and understand it is coming. Does this make sense to you?
Well, not only does it make sense to you, but it's a really good answer to Mary's question about how do you deal with the unknown,
Yeah.
and being in the present and just waiting for
Right.
your future to come to you. Instead, it's that. Well, imagine if you're a rock skimming
The
across
surface.
a lake.
Yeah, like if you just
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if
Like
if you get a really good
yeah,
skimming
smooth
rock,
yeah.
it can go like really far.
Right.
But if you ground yourself in your core reality, you operate from a deeper level. You can't go out as far.
Yeah.
So it's almost like this is an old analogy, but I'll do it anyway. It's like regrooving a record.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, if you've been somebody that's just pushed and you've been out there,
Yeah.
That's one song you have on that record, and
Right.
you can't totally erase it.
Right.
So when your rhythm, timing, and tempo changes because of the depth that you have,
Yes.
then some of the old song bleeds out.
Okay.
You can't just get a clean
Yes.
slate.
Yes.
And so, but that being able to be in the present is such a gift. You know, I do some business consulting, and I had the experience of going into a very high-powered entrepreneurial environment. And I spent the day interviewing people.
Mm-hmm.
But that was about it. I mean, it was about, a 5-hour day.
Right.
Really enjoyable. And I wrote up a report, and I gave it to the CEO of the company. And
Right.
she just sat down. She said, "How could you know all these things?" Well, the reason was because I was present, and the people that were talking to me were present. And she was so future-oriented that
Yes.
she couldn't see any of that stuff.
Yes. Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes, that's so beautiful. Thank you, Susan.
Mm-hmm.
So, as far as another thing that I came across in your book that I really loved is about asking what instead of why questions. So let's talk about that. So what's powerful about what versus why questions?
Well, I'm a writer, and one of my favorite subjects was also English. And so the outline that they give you to say, it's who, what, where, when,
Right.
all that. Well, the only question that is an open question is what.
Right.
I mean, who is data, where, when, how. All of those questions are designed to get, somebody asks you why, you give them because. And that because is a narrow answer.
Right. It doesn't open you up to
Right.
limitless
So
possibilities.
what is the only intuitive question?
I got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a way to tap into your intuition.
Yeah.
Because you always hear people talk about, ask open-ended questions, but no, not just what.
Yeah.
Not
Because open-ended questions like,
Could be
well, why did you do
yeah,
that?
yeah.
That creates kids that lie.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. That's really helpful. So, for those of you at home, when you're wanting to connect with your intuition, you want to be asking yourself what. So, give me an example of a what question for intuition.
Well, from an internal standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
it would be when you're in a situation where you're not really sure what's happening.
Right.
You can ask yourself, what would be right action for me right now?
Ah, okay.
So, given this situation,
Right.
what's right action? And it hones it in.
Nice.
Usually, when we're in an uncomfortable situation, instead what we do is go, why did that happen again?
Yeah.
Well,
Or where should I go? Or what should? Yeah. Okay.
Exactly,
Got it. Okay.
exactly.
Thank you.
So again, it's a whole new territory when you decide that your intent really is to, number one, have your own personal path.
Yes.
And your own personal path, and that takes some faith that says, I am here for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I can remember at different times in my life, when, particularly when I ended a 25-year marriage,
Mm-hmm.
and I walked out with 4 kids, and I became head of household, and I was sitting on the deck of the house that I had just rented and didn't know how I was going to pay for, and I went, okay, what would be a positive thought right now? And I know. Maybe the big earthquake will happen under me right now, and I won't have to do this. It's for true. I mean, that's how bad it was.
Right. Right.
But it's so your own personal path. Benefit is there's nobody to compete with.
Yeah.
So the judging yourself.
Right.
Second thing is beating yourself up is a little stupid because nobody's on the path. You're setting the path.
Yeah.
So you're authoring your own life. The jump to decide to author your own life
Yes.
actually means that last step that says, I'm gonna take responsibility. You know, reminds me of, you know, I have 7 brothers and 3 sisters. But one of my little brothers, I was married by this time. I was over visiting my mother, and
Yes.
and you hear crash, bang. And so my brother, and he starts to cry, and he was about 4. So we run upstairs, and I go, what happened, Andy? And he said, somebody was jumping on the bed, and I fell off. And that's a lot of what happens, why we don't take that extra step to say, you know, I get to author my own life. It's my
Yes.
life. I get to author. And then to rather than I'm going to get my plan, and once I get my plan and it's perfect,
Yes.
then I will author my own life.
Right. Which will never happen.
No, so we're back again to the notion that you're going to break down the entire prison is ego gratifying.
Yes.
If you go more to essence living,
Yes.
then what it really means is that you're in a cell and you get a spoon and you chip away.
Yeah.
And the intent is just to get a hole big enough so that you can sneak out and then you can stand in the sun.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like letting go of sort of like the I think a lot of personal transformation philosophies are sort of like the get enlightened quick kind of.
Our whole
whole
world
culture,
is
yeah.
about quick.
Yeah, and this is more about just being present with the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah, and so having the patience to be able to stand in your own life is it's massive. I mean, you know,
and having the support. Excuse me, but I just want to add. I think one of the things,
Huge.
like being in your groups for those years that I was in them, was so key because most people are not willing to live in being in touch with their heart and their intuition. So if you're, you know, at work talking about, you know, I'm really into like working on trusting my heart, most people are going to like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
So you have to really put yourself in an environment that's going to support you, right?
Well, yes, and what really sparked me to do Unleash the Power of Your Intuition is I took for 6 years, I had an executive job, a fast-moving marketing company with a guy who wouldn't know a facilitator if it bit him. It had nothing to do with personal growth, all about making money. We took that company from 900,000 to 10 million.
Oh my God.
But I needed to support my kids,
Right.
And it was so stressful. But
Yeah.
I learned so much.
Yes.
And one of them is people aren't walking around going, you know, what's the next esoteric thing I can think of? He used to call me in his office and he'd go, I know what your problem is. I'd go, like what? He'd say, you care about people.
Are you kidding?
No,
Oh
but
my
that's
God.
the thing. See,
Yeah.
I would have said before that, he's got to be kidding. You know he wasn't kidding. It gets in the way.
Well, you know what? I don't know where I read this, but somewhere about when we're shut down to our feelings, that's when people can objectify other people because they don't have any empathy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There's something in the chat room. Oh, my buddy Carrie. That's why I'm not moving forward because this jump hasn't happened quite
That's
yet.
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So somebody, let's see, LT says, oh, Lloyd, what's going on and how do you feel about this situation is a good question to ask.
You mean like right now?
That's what I think. That's what when we were.
Oh,
that was
oh,
when
no,
we were
he was
talking
saying,
about
okay.
what questions.
Oh, yeah.
What's going on and how do you feel
about this situation? Is a great question to ask.
Okay, cool.
Again, Lloyd's written some really good books. He's like, we haven't even met face to face, but he's like one of my favorite people.
Oh, cool.
It's just, you know, and Lloyd and I told you I can sing the words to your first album, but I don't know the words yet, but it's like, Allison, love that. Love it. He's such a good storyteller.
Oh, that's so
You are such a good storyteller.
Oh, cool. Okay, so then the other thing I loved about the first chapter was you talked about not visualizing, but just remembering, getting back in touch with those first feelings of your first crush or the first time you fell in love or felt such an attraction for someone. And so why is it important to like let yourself go back to those tender feelings? And why is that good for intuition?
It's a good question because what we're talking about with this deepening and opening and softening is all about personal power. And goal setting and meeting goals and all of that is about position power. Now, it is my point of view that if you can get position power, because that's then everybody returns your phone calls, and personal power, I mean, you've got it all. But the thing is, position power can be taken away from you. Personal power, the only person that can take it away from you is you.
Yeah.
So, it's going back again to that spontaneity.
Yeah.
And for me, I like to put myself in situations, because, I'm considered to be an expert doing this simply because I've done it for such a long time. Well, then you can get really insensitive. So I put myself in situations so I can get my innocence back. Because I notice sometimes what happens is, like those things that I ask in the book, like remember, remember, walks in the moonlight, the first time, you held hands with your boyfriend that
Or you'd slow dance with somebody you really loved.
Exactly.
And,
So it slows you down into remembering that it's the things that give you energy each day.
Yeah.
But when we're so driven, we take a walk. It's like tree, house, car. Let's see. How fast am I going? What's my pulse?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. And just not really just getting in touch with the essence of just being alive and being in your body and experiencing all the senses and sensuality of life.
And the job really is that, again, we're going to go back to your own personal path. So just imagine that there's a college professor, who has all the life experiences that you've had, and holding hands with a very bright and articulate 5-year-old. And usually what happens is the professor is expounding about what they know and what they've done and what they're going to do and what they're creating, which is fine. But that little one usually doesn't get to speak up. Yeah. What you're doing is you're inviting that other part of you that can be very confrontational, to just go, you know what, I heard about your new plan and everything, but you just stepped on a caterpillar, squished it. Really, you missed so many things as we were walking along.
Yeah.
And, and usually, you're expounding on nature.
Yes.
While you're killing things as you're stepping on it. So it's the innocence, the vulnerability. Yeah. It's learning how to treat ourselves. Yeah. The way that, where they say, with kindness. That's the hardest thing. And since I've been doing Unleashed, so I've been doing Unleashed now for I think like 25 years, something like that. When I wrote this seminar, I decided to do something different. I had been, like in guru land. And
sage on a stage.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah. And it's like, no, I want to be a guide on the side.
I know. I love that. I love that.
And I really do. And so one of the things that I do is I participate in every seminar. And I have.
Yes, and I love that about your group.
Well, one of the things that I know is you never get anywhere, that's first. And secondly, I can scare people with the stuff that I will share. Because they're going, whoa, I don't think I'm going to hang my star on her. But it was the best thing I've ever done, because I stay alive and I stay current, and I don't have to wonder, gee, how is that going? How is so-and-so's life going? One of the things that I love about it is when people leave my space, I am not going, gee, I'm worried about Mary. Mary's worried about Mary.
Right.
And I'm done. I'm just going, glad Mary's in my life.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that's, I guess if I was going to say anything, what is intuition? Intuition is not a skill. Intuition is being able to listen to that still small voice within. And when you have too much chatter, when your intellect is running things, then your intellect's in the driver's seat. Your critic is in the shotgun position and if you happen to be a sensitive person, he's got a girlfriend called Figment of your imagination. And your intuition, your higher self
is in the trunk, right?
is back here going, excuse me, people, aren't we supposed to be doing something different? So the idea is to put your intuition. So when I would talk about intuition, I come from a very strict Catholic background.
Yes.
One of the things that I appreciate is that back in the day in the Catholic Church, the Holy Spirit was called intuition.
It was.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it's religiosity is not my deal, but it's basically that to me, you have to decide that you're not running the show. That's first.
Right.
And if you're not, then it would be in your best interest to make a full partnership with whatever is running it.
Yes.
So whatever you conceive God to be, or
Spirit,
the universe, or
whatever,
whatever name you want to call it, it's basically you're not running the show.
Right.
And so, but
you can have intention.
I love the statement that God only enters into full partnerships.
Right. Exactly.
And so, again, our job is to suit up, show up, and do the best you can.
Right.
With support, I agree.
Well, and that actually leads me to the next thing about defining what you long for in chapter 2, where you talk about striving for attention versus intention of creating a meaning-filled life by sharing our authentic contribution. Mm-hmm. So that's really, striving for attention versus intention.
Yeah, and I know that's your bottom line intent is to help people to find what their purpose is and to deliver it and to contribute it.
But I was on that striving for attention. I was on that track before. I mean, because I believed that was going to bring. I drank the Kool-Aid of the culture and also of my unhealed wounds.
And it starts way back in grammar school. I mean, when we're being socialized.
Right.
If we weren't socialized, we'd probably all be on our own path and having a good time. But, you had to get regimented. And I still remember in school and being from Catholic schools.
We both went to Catholic school.
Well, and so what would happen is they'd ask a question, and not only would you see everybody's hand going like this, but they'd go, trying to get the sister to call on them. And, and half the time what had happened is, somebody just, me. And then she'd go, yes, John, or yes, Carol. And then they'd kind of go, I forgot the question.
They just wanted the attention.
Just wanted the attention.
Yeah.
Wow. So intention is the DNA of our desires.
Cool. Well, the other cool thing that I remember in your seminars was, and by the way, reading the book, the Beyond Intellect book, brought me right back into being in Unleash the Power of Your Intuition. So, it's awesome. So if you're not in Southern California, you got to buy the book because you can actually get the seminar, by reading it. But you had us do an I am statement and a symbol of what represented what qualities we wanted to embrace in life. And I remember one of the things that you said to me, and I still remember it now, is that what we're really looking for is not necessarily a specific outcome, but an experience.
Yes.
And I'll never forget that. I'm like 30-something going, oh, wow, that's like really cool. And it's so true.
And it's that slowing down aspect to say, I like what Lloyd said about, slow down enough to ask how you feel. So, a silly example would be, let's say you could take 3 people and they all say, I want to build a custom house.
Right.
So 3 people said, I'm going to go, wow, how interesting. 3 people want the same thing. Well, if you ask a little bit of a deeper question, so you say, okay, ask person number 1. And they say, well, you know what, I mean, I have a really important job and I would like an environment where I can, that mirrors what I've done in life.
Because don't you know who I am?
That could be, right. Another person could say, I want to create comfort for my family.
Right.
So there's a different tone. But here's the neat thing. If you can really settle down enough to say what's the experience that you desire, you could still want a custom house.
Right.
But let's take the person who wants to create comfort.
It could come in a different. Yeah.
She could bake cookies for her family.
Exactly.
You know?
It's like you're not locked into that one thing.
Right. So the idea is that you continue to have the experience that you want while you're going for whatever it is that you're going for.
It's like cut out the middleman and just experience what you want now.
Yeah.
Well, we've got one question, and then we're going to have to wrap. But Danny is asking, could you clarify for people the difference between the still small voice and the voice in the head, sometimes speaking softly?
Okay, good. That's a good question. Let's see. How can I do that? I'm going to talk about that we basically have 4 bodies. We have a physical body, a mental body, an emotional body, and a spiritual body. I wrote this book to be able to have it be an emotional resource.
Right.
How can you tap into your emotional body? Because oftentimes the emotional body gets kicked to the curb. Like the spiritual body, like spiritual concepts that are high-minded and high ideals, and the intellect get along really, really well.
Right.
Conceptually.
Right.
So the emotional body is more about, again, how does this feel to me? I mean,
in your body.
In your body.
Yes.
In your, how's your breathing? Are you holding your breath? Do you breathe out as well as in? So it's actually there isn't really a formula. It's more. You know what? You learn your yeses and your nos, and when you say yes when you mean yes and no when you mean no, and I don't know when you don't know. It's kind of like intuition is a bit like a stoplight.
Yeah.
Red is
Yellow.
stop.
Yeah.
Green is go. And we've been told, come on, make up your mind. You want to go or you want to stop.
Right.
Yellow light is that unknown.
Yes.
And so it's that trust and faith that when you don't know, that the answer will come, and you're listening more for your inner voice than you were. You instead of looking outside yourself, saying, "Who can I go to? Who can answer this? Who can give me the answer?" Instead, that it's really that intent to say, I really do want to author my own life, and I really want to follow my own dream.
Right. Well, would you say then the still small voice, in a sense, is when you get that sense of compelling clarity, like a resounding yes?
Yeah, or sometimes it's really saying that you've got thunder and lightning, and you're seeing the lightning and you're hearing the thunder. You got a problem. You got something that needs to be dealt with.
So even though that's maybe not a small voice, but it's a voice. Yeah.
It's a voice. One of the things that I always ask the question when I'm newly working with somebody is to say, when you look at yourself in your life, no matter what's going on at this particular time, are you and is your life a problem to be solved, or is it a reality to be experienced?
Oh, that's so good.
Well, now, and if you look at it from a mental standpoint, then you go, oh, I'm sure the right answer is a reality to be experienced. It's not, because if you're walking around going, this is wonderful, and it's like, somebody ought to tap you on the shoulder and tell your face, it's not working for you.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have a problem.
Yeah.
But the idea is that when you look at your life from the standpoint that it's a reality to be experienced, then this isn't feeling good to me.
Yeah.
This is telling me all the information is right in front of you right now.
So it's not necessarily that you get the answer or the solution, but you are listening to the information, the feeling. Okay. Well, good. Yeah. Good. Well, we're just about at the top of the hour, so thank you, Danny, about the journey. And that's what Carrie's saying. It's about the journey and not the destination.
Yeah.
Well, I always like to ask my guests at the end of the show, and since we're going to be doing a series, maybe we can apply this question to tonight's sort of topics. What is the message you are most passionate about that you want to leave with the viewers tonight?
This is not probably all that profound, but I'll tell you what just came into my head is that if we take the word intuit,
Yes.
intuition,
Yes.
and we spell it differently and
Yes.
just say INTO it.
Yeah.
Into it. Just
Yes.
be in it. Suit up, show up, and
Be into it.
be into it. Be into it.
Yeah, I love it.
You
I love
know?
that. Yeah, and so how can people work with you? Like, and also your website and the book. The book is on Amazon.com, right?
Yeah, the book is on Amazon, and there's a little bit more on my website,
Right.
and that's beyondintellect.com.
It's pulling out the green.
Now, if you go beyond, that's right. If you go beyond to the beyondintellect.com, it'll take you right to the book page.
Yeah.
Look, but also I have a SusanVelasquez.com. It's all the same
Yeah.
website. So, and you can find out about seminars, and you can find out
Yes.
about consulting, and you can find out.
You
about
do
phone-
you do
I do
one-on-one
phone
stuff. Yeah, we've done that
consultations.
before. Yeah. So.
Yes. So all that information is there, but I'm just thrilled
Yeah.
to have this time
I
with
know,
you.
this has been so
Yeah, I think we're
fun.
going to have a good time.
Yeah,
Thanks,
and
you guys.
And I will definitely let everybody know when our next episode of this series is going to be. So let me give you a hug. Thank you so
Whoops.
much. This is so great.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thanks, guys.
All right. So let me scoot over, and I got a couple of announcements, and then we're going to wrap up for the night. Wow, what a treat! It's so neat that. What's so cool about Facebook is that's how I found Susan. You know, after 20 years, I hadn't seen her, and so thank you so much for being willing to show up. Okay, I got a couple of announcements, and then we are going to wrap it up. My coaching challenge. I always do a coaching challenge since I'm a coach, and I always like to line it up with the topic. And since tonight the topic is all about finding ways to tap into your intuition, I'd like to challenge you in picking just one thing that you can, what action you can take to tap into your intuition this week. I mean, of course, you can buy Susan's book. I mean, that would be the ultimate action because, I mean, it's really the best book on intuition there is. Or you can, just think to yourself, how can I really just tap into how I'm feeling in my body, my mind, and my spirit? So pick something, just pick one thing, write it down, make a commitment to doing it. Let me know how it goes. I'd love to hear from you on that. The next announcement I have is I am a life coach, and I have two types of coaching. Actually, I'm a life coach and a live stream coach. The life coaching is all about working with women in midlife that are at a place where they don't want to die with their music in them. That's where I was, and I'm so grateful that I got the support I needed through coaching to take my life and my purpose to the next level, and I want to be there for other people too. So if you're in midlife and are like, you know what, I have this gift I want to share with the world, and I know I'm not doing it, I've been working on this for all these years and it's just not happening, I can help you. I've been there, I've climbed the mountain, and I can be a really good guide. So just go right up to my website, marygiuliani.net, and there's a little coaching tab there, and I do a free half-hour coaching session, so see if we're a good fit for each other. The other thing is, if you would like to also use this beautiful medium of live stream to get your message out there, that's the other way I love to help people share their message with the world, is through either live streaming like this show. If you would like your own talk show, I can help you do that, and I can do it remotely. So I could actually produce your show for you. You don't even have to have technical skills. I can bring you on the screen all the way across the world and bring in other guests for you too. Or if you want to learn the whole kit and caboodle, I can show you that too. So if you'd like some, and I can also help you produce a webinar. In fact, Jane Winter is producing, I'm helping her produce her Aging Gracefully webinar. In fact, if you would like to join us for a free intro, that's going to be this Sunday at 6 o'clock Pacific time. Just go to healingvacation.com, and there's the Aging Gracefully seminar, which is fantastic. It's going to be so good. Okay, so that's that. Next week, guess what? I have Carrie Richardson, who is going to be back with us. She's a life coach who just got a publishing deal with Hay House for her book, and it's called let me see, what your clutter is trying to tell you, and uncover the message in the mess and reclaim your life. And Carrie is so fun, and this book is amazing. And she's, I mean, what's cool about her thing on clutter, it's not just physical clutter she helps you clear. It's emotional clutter. It's relationship clutter. It's all kinds of clutter, and she's really good at it. So she's fantastic. So make sure you stay tuned for next week for Carrie. And let's see, is there anything else? Well, I always do like to mention that my last thing is, what's one thing that you can do to be true to yourself? Write it down. Make sure you put it on your calendar so you do it, because that's when your life will transform. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and we'll see you next week.